I've been to multiple breweries today, so
That's nice.
Whenever I answer the phone, I'm like, hello.
what pissed you off?
It's a great argument to have.
I love my mom, but I think she's half crazy for doing that.
How dare you?
Do you work with your girlfriend, Mark? Or your wife, Mark?
I keep them separated. Sometimes I call people, they don't answer the phone. I'm like,
Wrong number, click.
Well, he's not that smart. But sometimes he sounds like he knows what he's doing.
yeah.
Go.
Therefore, you're an ass, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, but what do we know?
Well, I just got done reading a Huffington Post piece, and this guy who wrote this article said, like, he stopped drinking alcohol and, I guess, caffeine, and saved like $1,000 a month by quitting. I was sort of wondering, how much do you spend on alcohol and caffeine?
Not $1,000 a month.
$1,000 a month.
$1,000.
At first, I thought it was really, really high, right? But then he was saying, like, well, when you go out to eat, I mean, when you go out to drink, you also tend to go out to eat as well.
Well, I mean, that's different then. He's mixing in his food bill with his alcohol bill.
Right, but he's just saying that when he goes out, stopped going out to go drinking, he noticed that he saved $1,000 a month. So the social aspect of it is sort of connected.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I think you would have to subtract whatever he was eating at home from his bar bill, essentially, to make that a realistic number.
Well, I think that's what he did, though, because he said that, like, he stopped going out drinking, and then he noticed that there's $1,000 in his bank account that wouldn't have been there otherwise. So,
I guess I could see that. I mean, I don't know anything about the guy who wrote it, but I'm thinking back to when I was 22, 23, somewhere in there, and even like cheap bar food, just like chicken strips and French fries are $8 at a bar or $10 or whatever, and
right.
When if I were at home, I'd be eating ramen noodles or something. So,
I mean, I could picture the thing of, let's say it's $10 for cheap bar food, and then let's say it's $8 a pint for pints of beer. Your average outing would probably be 2 to 3 pints of beer. So let's say $24. So $34 per outing.
Right.
You would have to go out
about every day.
30 times a month to average about $1,000, and that is a bar bill. But that's assuming you have 3 pints in, like chicken strips every single day.
And, well, this guy does live in New York, and he says that
like New York City, New York.
Yeah. And
so he's probably looking at $10 pints and $15 to $20 bar food. So that's dropping him down to 15 times a month he's going out. Yeah, I can picture somebody living in downtown New York who's a regular social outing type person who stops doing that, saving about $1,000 a month. But that's because they're not the normal person.
Right. I still think it would be fairly substantial savings between caffeine and alcohol, though. Because I think about all the coffee I drink. We've pretty much given up soda in my house.
Coffee's cheap, though.
It depends on where you get your coffee.
Well, that's true. That's
way more expensive.
Right. I was going to say, there's 8 million Starbucks in America for a reason, and that's $4 a cup or whatever.
Yeah, if you're talking about getting rid of going out and getting Starbucks every day, like 3 times a day, $12 worth of Starbucks just daily.
Well, then you add that bar tab on top of it, you're already at $50.
Yeah. So you're sitting at I guess you'd be at $400 a month just in Starbucks if you were the right. Average person doing that. I guess I can picture that, but I don't think that. But that's not the norm. That's not the normal person going out and getting like.
Well, I mean, so how much do you think you spend? Like, you probably never sat down and actually calculated.
Well, the thing is, I don't drink out very often. Is the thing. So I probably spend twice a week maybe buying a $15.99 case of Miller Lite. So let's say $30, maybe a little bit more than $30 a week. So $120 a week or a month on alcohol sitting at my house is pretty much about what I'm spending. It substantially increases if I go out to drink because like today we went out to breweries and breweries are like cheaper than a lot of bars, but it was like $5 to $6 a pint.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that you ate there as well.
No, we ordered Papa John's after. Most breweries don't have food.
I was going to say, actually, that's kind of a weird thing that's happening now is that most breweries, microbreweries that are opening up don't have food. And they like allow you to bring food in. But
right.
If I can bring food in, why don't I just go to a bar that has food so I don't have to have this extra?
Well, I'm okay with bringing food into places because it was cool. Like, so we went to 2 different breweries today. One of them was straight up the place to eat or the place to get your beer was in the middle of the brewery. So like next to us is one of the big like fermenting tanks. And we're sitting there getting beer from like this random fridge that exists, you know, in the middle of their warehouse floor. To the side is like cornhole. We were playing some cornhole in the middle of essentially a warehouse. So we moved on to the next brewery who has an area built to be more like the bar. So it's a closed off area that's like got some TVs and got the taps and all that stuff. And when you go on the brewery tour, you go through the back room to get to the warehouse section of it. And neither of them had food, but the atmospheres were completely different between the 2 places. And one I could definitely see having like a restaurant. And the other one I can see not having a restaurant ever.
And maybe this is old Mike coming out, but I've been to some of these breweries just like you said, and whatever, like the experience is okay, you know, for the first half hour or something like that. Try a couple new beers you've never had. But overall, even if I like the beer in the establishment, like I know I can go to other bars and get beer that I like, but I can also have food with it rather than trying to arrange to have food brought into this other place.
Or you can get a growler and go home and order whatever food you want.
You could, but then you're not at the bar anymore, so why go out?
That is true. But you got to get that special brewery beer somewhere.
But anymore, you can buy that special brewery beer in most liquor stores because craft beer is such a thing.
Tastes different. If I don't see them pouring it from the machine that they were making it in, it tastes different. I don't know.
It's very different.
You know what?
I know I don't spend anywhere near $1,000 on alcohol and caffeine anymore. Now, early 20s, I can guarantee, well, maybe not guarantee that you guys didn't come anywhere near me, but I'd be willing to bet I held the championship belt during those years.
You might have held the championship belt, but I still don't think in the area that we grew up in that you were near $1,000 a month, because we were very big on going to places that had like, we started going to Terry's because they had dollar pitchers. I mean,
$5 pitchers, yeah.
The what?
They were $5 pitchers.
No. They were definitely dollar pitchers.
They were $3 pitchers.
Sundays and Mondays, they were dollar pitchers. Oh no, you're right. They might have been
$3.
They might have been $2 pitchers on Sundays.
I think they were $3.
I disagree.
Are you thinking about the place next to
Churchill's had dollar pitchers on Thursday nights. That's why we liked Churchill's on Thursday nights. I forgot about that.
So we were drinking really cheaply.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But
so if you drank $1,000 worth, you'd be really drunk.
But ironically,
you'd be in bad shape.
What was the dollar pitcher of though, Mark? Do you remember?
PBR?
Yeah, it was PBR, which now you can get for like $15 pitchers because it's a hipster beer, like
hipster beer now.
Fucking hipster beer. The shit that I used to get for $1 a pitcher is hipster beer.
Yeah, I know. Well, I actually saw. All right, I'm probably about to get defriended on Facebook after this episode airs, but I saw somebody I know back from high school who posted something about Steel Reserve and how trendy it was. Like, are you kidding me right now?
How trendy it was?
Yeah.
Like right now, saying that Steel Reserve is trendy?
It was a post kind of along the lines of, look at this beer I just discovered. It's so delicious.
God. Whoever calls Steel Reserve delicious?
Like crazy. Like, No, that was our 99 cents for a 22 ounce.
Oh God, yeah.
Wow.
It was 99 cents for the deuce or $1.99 for the 40.
$1.98 for the 40.
$1.98, you are correct. $1.98 for the 40. And we used to drink it because we got wasted.
Well, it was like
extremely
high alcohol.
0.3% alcohol back before there were craft beers all over the place that were 10, you know.
Well, because it's a malt liquor.
Yeah, yeah.
Which what is the definition of a malt liquor?
I don't really know,
Malt?
to be honest.
When it ferments? I don't know.
Is it
You guys talk. I'll look it up.
I almost want to say, like, my guess, without looking it up, like while Mike is doing it right now,
I'm looking it up.
is that it was a higher percentage content of a beer before microbrews were big enough to consider like an industry.
No, I don't think that's right. I'm pretty sure it has to be what's is used to brew it.
So what would be used to brew it that would make it different than a beer?
So like a beer uses hops, right?
Not necessarily. They don't have to involve hops, but hops was like big with the IPAs and all, like the India Pale Ales, because like hops was cheap and kept beers able to be transported and things like that. Like it was like a preservative almost.
Maybe the process. I always thought, like, in my head, they added something to the alcohol to make it malt. Like you know how you have a milkshake and you
can add malt mix to make it a malt. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Honestly, it makes perfect sense.
So, according to Wikipedia, malt liquor. Typical beer is both made primarily from barley, water, and hops. Malt liquors tend to make much greater use of inexpensive adjuncts such as corn, rice, or dextrose.
Okay.
But so it's the same process as beer. It's just using slightly different ingredients potentially.
Well, it also says that it's very vague in American culture and it's sort of inconsistently used, and so it really doesn't mean anything apparently. Just if you want to call your beer that, I guess you're allowed to.
Yeah, I was kind of right.
I thought you would know more, Jeff. You used to make batches of beer at your house.
I do, and I will be starting that again actually soon. Like going to the breweries again makes me want to really get into my homebrew again.
Do you save any money by making it yourself, or is it more just a process, like fun?
Do I save money? Trying to think, the couple batches that I actually made. Depends. Like I probably saved money from an expensive microbrew perspective, but if I were to go out and just get a case of like Miller Lite, I probably lost money. Like
Right.
beer is cheap. I mean, there is cheap beer, I should say.
Right.
There's also expensive beer. So if I were to go the cheap route, like what I normally drink, like sitting here with my Miller Lite right now, it's because I enjoy the taste of Miller Lite. It's a very like it's like piss water. It's water with a flavor that gets me intoxicated. I mean, that's kind of what beer is.
Whoops.
So
Yeah, Mike's drinking something like some Leinenkugel.
Leinenkugel Oktoberfest. That's right.
So you just described you like piss water, but you went to a microbrewery today. So I'm still confused. Are you like when you were younger? You used to believe people didn't go out to drink beer for the flavor; they did it to get pissed. So are you still sort of in the drinking beer to get drunk, or are you sort of drinking beer for the flavor? Or
I think there's both at this point in my life. I definitely drink beer. I want something, and it's funny because I drink something like this when I'm watching football because of the fact that I want to be able to drink a lot of them.
Right.
And not get too drunk, but then I drink a lot of them and I will eventually get drunk. Whereas when I'm drinking beer for the flavor, like when I go out and buy like the specialty things, it's because I'm doing it for the taste as well as I want to feel tipsy, but I don't necessarily want to get drunk off of a microbrew. I think I get a really freaking bad headache and stuff if I get drunk off of a microbrew.
It's almost like now with sort of the popularity spike of microbreweries, it's almost like wine. Like if you drink wine, it's sort of the same thing. Like most people don't like guzzle wine, unless you buy boxed wine. But so boxed wine is like the Bud Light, and then you, excuse me, you'll have like your mid-level wines or whatever that you just really enjoy the taste of.
Right.
And kind of I don't know, microbreweries are sort of like that. Like, you don't really want to go to town on them. Number one, they're too expensive, and number two, a lot of them are heavier, like way heavier, sit in your stomach. But they taste really, really good. So they're kind of like a glass of wine with a meal or something.
So there was a study that was done with like professionals and amateurs on different kinds of wine, right? And when they did a double-blind test, they found out that even professionals and amateurs had a hard time determining which was red and white wine.
Wait, what? The difference between red and white?
Right.
So
without being able to look.
So I would completely agree with you that I think there's a lot of blind studies that could be done that would really oust professionals from their peak
position. Right.
Right. I was going to say, I thought I knew where you were going with this because I think I heard a podcast, I don't know, Freakonomics or something, where they were talking about how they had all these sort of highly regarded taste tested people trying to figure out what was the $200 bottle of wine versus the $10 bottle of wine and how amazingly bad they were at figuring that out. Now, the difference between white and red wine, and this, I guess, goes back to the Pepsi versus Coke taste test. I feel like I would know that.
Well,
so they would have to keep them at the same temperature, which is weird because a white wine should be cold and a red wine should be warm.
But that's because you're told that it's supposed to, right? You have no.
That's true. That's very true. I have no other basis for why that is, except for that's what I'm told is supposed to be. I actually like chilled red wine.
Right. So what they did was took white. They had a red wine, and then they took white wine and added dye to it, so it looked like the exact same color. All right, and then they had a drinking tasting test.
Drinking contest.
But tasting test, like tasting, where that no one figured out that they were being served white wine. They weren't like drinking this and then test. Wait, what's this? This is not a red wine. They were like, okay, let me give you the score. Let me give you the score, and they did the whole test, and no one knew that they were being served white wine for half of it.
That's hilarious. I kind of want to do that now.
I was going to say, I think I'm going to try that one of these days. I'm not sure I have both in my possession. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure I do.
Well, I mean, the only difference between red and white wine is supposedly the grapes, right? So the red grapes actually makes the color of the wine redder.
And it tastes redder.
Yeah, I mean, I have red grapes and like the green grapes, right? And for me, I could taste a difference, but then I'm also like physically looking at the grapes, and I used to be like, of course, red M&Ms and yellow M&Ms taste different. This one tastes redder, and this one tastes right. Or
I've always thought the red wine was sweeter, just sort of in general. I guess maybe if you found a red that was a little more tart and a white that was a little sweeter, I guess.
So I saw a Mythbusters episode when remember back in the day when it used to be the thought process of buy the cheapest bottle of vodka you can get and put it through a Brita filter.
Yeah.
And the more times you put it through the Brita filter, the more pure like it becomes and the better it becomes. And you can turn like this, 5 o'clock vodka into like, Sky vodka or whatever it is.
Right.
So many iterations. So in Mythbusters, they tested the theory. They proved it to be true, but they also brought a vodka tester out there, and they did 30 iterations of filtration.
Right.
They had this vodka tester who literally blind taste tested every single one of the shots, put them in order from 1 filtration to 30 filtrations seamlessly.
Right.
I don't know how much I believe that after hearing what you just said. And I was skeptical when I initially watched that episode that somebody could, because literally the difference between 18 and 19 filtrations, how well are you really going to do that when you're tasting 30 different like sips of vodka? Because it was a significant amount.
And we don't know exactly how they did the test, so they may have given something away without really not realizing it. Like the people who are doing the test in Mythbusters might have served it to him in the order, and he just like, oh yeah.
He's like, this is the number. This is one filtration. This
After every
is
single
two
shot, they put it through the Brita filter for whatever's left.
filtrations.
Last each time you.
Well, and it's like Jeff just said, comparing the 18th to the 19th filtration or whatever, like I know from past experience, once I get the first shot of Jack Daniels down my gullet, like the next one tastes like water. So,
Yep.
so how do you take 30 shots? And I understand, like they just put them in their mouth and spit it out or whatever, but it still just kills you.
You got the taste of it in your mouth though at that point.
Right, exactly.
So, but that begs the question on how realistic is Mythbusters, and that saddens me.
Well, isn't that show like off the air now anyway? Or
No, they're still
off
making
the air?
new episodes. Actually, they just started again this season a couple weeks ago.
Wait, they
I'm
got
sure-
relicensed again? Because I
I'm
know
sure
that
it's off the air after this season. Then I've read that.
No,
they're done.
they canned the myth turns
Right.
like Tori and all them.
No,
because they said they
I
were
read
taking
that
this
this
show.
was over.
Yeah, they said they were taking the show a different direction, and it was probably about a month ago that I saw one of the new episodes from this season came out, and that was just, Adam and Jamie, which was doing a lot of the similar things that they've been doing, but there's a lot more, like, graphics and
Right.
stuff involved in it. It's almost like they made it more production value.
right.
No,
Versus-
I've seen that. I know what you're talking about, but I'm almost positive that I read that show is over, like completed.
Yeah, I
and
know.
over. So they must have finished this new season and it's over.
Huh, I thought they were new. Maybe they weren't new episodes that I was seeing.
Well,
but
I
I'm
mean,
pretty sure they were
As
new.
much as I liked Mythbusters, they stopped doing real myths.
They
Like,
got, well,
yeah.
I think they ran out of things that they could like feasibly put together for an episode.
I was actually thinking they were going to be like the show was going to get canceled around the time where at the end of each episode they were like, "Oh, do you have a Mythbusters idea? Like, please tell us. We're desperate for ideas at the end of the show." And I was like, this show probably is not going to last much longer. But then
Well,
they kind of
they used crowdsourcing for a lot of their stuff, and I mean they turned to the forums that they had to get a lot of their ideas for myths. But that's why I think some of them got so specific, because they were like testing the do guns shoot in this way that they do in this one scene in this one zombie flick that nobody's ever seen. Like,
Right.
And granted, it was still interesting to watch them like put together the myth and everything like that and try to do it, but it was just like, I've never seen this clip of this movie that they're showing that they're basing this entire myth on, like in my life. I've never even heard of this movie before that they're dealing with.
Yeah, it just at some point, like every single myth they ever tested, the final result was probable.
Yeah, that's
Like,
They
I don't-
quit
I don't know.
confirming or busting anything, and it was always probable.
like,
Yeah.
because this situation would never happen, so there's no way for it to be really tested. So probable.
yeah, I do like the Mythbusters when it first came out in the first couple years, when basically it was, we've denied this myth, it is busted, but we're gonna show you what would happen if it was not busted, and they like go like over the top to just like, we're gonna blow up this house now and show you guys what would happen.
That was I went to when my wife was in college at Central Michigan.
Mhm.
Jamie and Adam were touring, and they stopped at the auditorium at Central. So I took Hannah, who was probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 maybe, maybe 10. But it was a live show. They took questions from the audience. They showed like kind of behind the scenes, making of the show sort of clips and blooper reels and stuff. And it was really, really cool, really interesting. They're funny guys just in real life to hear interact with each other, even though I know they don't really like each other behind the
what?
scenes. Huh?
That they really don't like each other.
Oh, no, it's well documented. They don't get along for the most part off camera. But
I didn't need to know that.
Well,
Come on,
rumor
Mike.
has it is, yeah, rumor has it as well. People I know that have actually like gone to some of those shows, but then they've had like parties and stuff with them before. And they said that Adam is really reserved and Jamie is the outgoing one that like goes and parties and hangs out with like random people who take an interest, which is the exact opposite of what you would think when you watch the show.
Oh, I would have guessed that. I would have totally guessed that.
Really?
Oh, yeah, because Adam, every once in a while you catch Adam snapping on an intern or something like that. Like, I bet he's a pain in the butt. Really. Oh, for sure you have. I don't know the episode, but I bet you could run a Google search on Adam being a jerk to somebody. You would definitely.
I'm curious how much they really hate each other. If it actually makes the work environment difficult for them to have to be in.
Well, I can explain why they'll go head to head. Like, you'll work in that side of the warehouse, and I'll work on this side of the warehouse for a couple of days. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you run a Google search on that, you'll definitely find interviews where they themselves have said that they don't get along a lot of the times, but
they're just like us. We hate each other outside the show.
Yep.
They give, kind of a nice, happy rose petal answer where they say that helps each of them, to bounce ideas off each other, because when the other one likes the idea, they just know that they genuinely like it, because if they don't, they'll tell them, I don't know. It's weird. It's got to be weird to work with somebody you don't get along with all the time.
I'm trying to think of other people, like other shows where they really hate each other. Like, I know, like, Full House, like, what is it? The guy who played Danny Tanner?
Nobody has ever liked Chevy Chase in the history of any movie.
That's what I've heard, too.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Well, didn't he die on the Community or something? Like, he was gone for a season because he was holding out, or like he was being a jerk then too, just recently.
Wow. I know, but you were talking about Bob Saget, like Danny Tanner.
Yeah, Bob Saget.
I do find it really funny about Full House in general that, like, you got Danny Tanner, the, dad, like that, everybody that America's #1, dad, who's this super vulgar comic. And then you got Dave Coulier and Candace Cameron. Is that who it was?
Yeah.
DJ, I believe she's Candace Cameron. She's Kirk Cameron's sister.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Candace Cameron and Dave Coulier, who did a tour for the longest time, it was supposed to be like the clean comedy tour, where they don't do like any swearing, and it's supposed to be for all audiences and all this stuff. And I'm just like, man, this is such a like random back and forth of people from the same.
Well, I mean, for me, I'm trying to understand the process of hiring Bob Saget for the show. Like, you went to a comedy
think Bob
club.
Saget was trying to understand the process for hiring him for the show.
Yeah. Like, you go to a comedy club, you listen to his stand-up routine, and said, this dirty mouth, MF kind of guy, he would be perfect as the dad for the show, and it's for kids. Like,
well, that happens all the time now, though. I mean, Ice Cube does family movies, for crying out loud, and Chris Rock, and
right. But I mean, he sort of moved slowly into that. I mean, it's from his comedy act to straight this. Like, Ice Cube was sort of played like the bad guy, and then he got his acting chops, and then he got played into a cop position.
I don't know that he really has acting chops. So.
Ice Cube's done quite a handful of like acting though, and I think I do agree with Mark that he's kind of slowly transitioned more into a family role, unlike Bob Saget, because Bob Saget came so fast into the family role that nobody knew he was such a dirty comic until after Full House ended. Right.
Well, and Chris Rock too. Did I say him? That's another one. And
you did say him. I also think he was some time in the making.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, Eddie Murphy would, I think, be the #1 example, and he definitely was time in the making. Eddie Murphy had to really work to go to the family route because everybody knew him for Eddie Murphy Raw, Beverly Hills Cop, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He really had to work himself into the family role.
I don't know. I would say even around Beverly Hills Cops, it wasn't something like he was very crude or anything.
Beverly Hills Cop 3, he wasn't. Beverly Hills Cop 3 got really, really tame because I think that's when he started to break into that role. But 1 and 2, It was just F this and F that, like, all throughout that movie, which is what I think makes that movie. It makes that movie so awesome. Him wearing just a Detroit Lions fucking leather jacket the entire time, and
They
like
did go to the
swearing
strip
like a
joint in the
sailor
first
the whole
movie, I think. So maybe.
the what?
Well, and I think part of with him was just number one, he was sort of big time at that point between Raw and Beverly Hills Cop and all this. Like he had a little bit of weight to throw around in Hollywood.
Right.
And then I think he started having kids. So he wanted to get himself on film and family roles that his kids could watch.
Mm-hmm.
How I think he phoned in some favors on that. I might be wrong.
No, I would completely agree. I think that's the exact way that it went. Like he phoned in the favors to make sure that he could be the role model. Whereas, it's funny because when his kids grow up, I guarantee when his kids are like in their 20s, he's gonna be like, "Dude, watch my Raw stuff. Like that was awesome back in the day. Watch Beverly Hills Cop. Like I was a beast."
Or Coming to America.
Yeah, coming to America, I think was pretty family friendly.
I don't think so.
I don't think it was stereotypically family friendly, but I think by vulgarity standpoints, I think it was very. I mean, Dan Aykroyd, Eddie Murphy. What the hell is that chick's name? From Total Recall, or not Total Recall? From
True Lies.
True Lies. Yeah.
Oh,
Jamie Lee Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis as the hooker. Yeah, the concepts were not family friendly per se, but the way it was presented was very like.
It was rated R, FYI.
Yeah. Like,
but okay,
watch
so
my movie with the hooker and the drugs.
So, in today's standpoint, do you think that movie would be rated R? If they remade that movie today,
No.
what do you think it'd be rated?
You're probably right.
13.
Probably wouldn't.
I don't even think it'd be 13. I bet it'd be PG, like straight up PG.
No, because there's nudity in it, I think, if I recall right. There's a little bit of nudity, so they would have to at least remove that part.
Okay, I can agree with that. Is there really nudity?
I'm trying to find the content. Yeah, sex and nudity. The prince is bathed by two women who have exposed breasts. Talk of having sex and sexual parts are mentioned.
Oh wait! You said Coming to America. Hold on, I was thinking completely Trading Places in my mind.
Oh,
because Jamie Lee Curtis was not in Coming to America as a prostitute. She was in Trading Places.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, even Trading Places, I'm pretty sure there's.
that was rated R as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's some nudity in that. I think basically all those movies back in the day is always like, oh, it's going to be an adult film, we'll add some boobs. It's like the HBO of the day.
Was it really boobs, or was it just like shoulder?
Hold on, I'll be there in just a minute.
You'll be at the shoulder in just a minute.
Oh, there's some exposed shoulder.
The one scene that I can sort of figure in Trading Places is when Dan Aykroyd and Penelope are talking about having sex, and they're doing it in such a business way, and like they're both undressing and be like, yes, today at work I blah blah blah, while they both are like undressing. But I don't know if they get down and show actual nudity or not.
On IMDb they have a parent's guide for all movies, and they break down everything bad about movies.
Do they really?
It is way longer for Trading Places than it was for Coming to America.
And it came out first, right? So
at a party, a number of female guests are briefly shown topless. A woman is seen waiting in a man's bed topless. It's clear she wants to have sex with him, but he sends her away. A woman is topless in front of a mirror. After taking a man's temperature, a woman undresses, and she is topless and in a thong.
So there's lots of toplessness in Trading Places, you say. Or no, excuse me, in Coming to America.
Yeah. This is Trading Places.
Of course, I think toplessness.
Oh, this is Trading Places?
Yeah.
I think toplessness is probably still PG-13 now in America. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, I know in Coming to America, on the parental thing, it said they use the F word over 20 times. That's pretty good for us.
Yeah, and they do. And that's just because that's Eddie Murphy's old style before he went the family way.
Well, in Trading Places, moderate to strong language is present throughout. That's all they say. So they didn't do an F-bomb count on that one. So it must have been a little tamer.
So I wonder what the standard would be for what would make it rated R? Would nudity, like just breast, be considered make it automatic rated R? I know the people who do the deciding tend to be typically white males, so like they're for some reason get a little bit more offended by breasts than maybe other demographics. But
Well, to be perfectly honest, you should go check out Stuff You Should Know podcast. I don't remember how long ago this was, but it's about the rating system.
okay,
It's completely just there's a government body who accepts money from film companies to rate their thing. The more money they give them, the better their rating. Literally, that's
define better,
So you're
because
saying
some
there's
people
bribe.
might want an R rating.
how.
Like
What's that?
some people might want an R rating. So define better.
Well, if they want an R, they'll get an R if they give them enough money.
But
Yeah,
what
I
if I
mean,
just give
an
them
R
if I give them
versus
$20? They're like, well, you're a PG-13, and we're like, damn it. Whereas the people behind us are like,
If
come on, give us the PG-13.
I'm pretty sure it's very easy to get the higher rating. It's the lower rating that would be difficult. Like
well,
I think for rated R, it's trying not to get the what is it, R17 or
NC.
NC-17.
And like Jeff said, if you bring them $20 and say rate my movie, they won't look at it. You got to pay them way more than that.
25.
Like it's completely insane. I had always just taken it for granted that this was like a government company that was put in place for the good of the people or whatever. But no, it's just the more money you give them, they'll rate you whatever you want.
And there's no like standard script. Like if we see 3 topless women, that's going to be a PG-13 automatically. It could be some movies they're topless for longer, shorter, more of the breast. You know,
I think there's very loose guidelines, but I think they're bendable for sure.
it's like somebody grading your essay.
Does it help if they're like ugly breasts?
Well, and when you talk about the ratings too, it's just different people. So, well, it's basically like a referee in a football game. You know, they call, or any ref in any sporting event,
They can call a face masking penalty whenever they want.
they use their interpretation of the rule book to call a game. Well, these people do too.
Depending on which team, you know, like it's the Detroit Lions. Oh yeah, masking or something like that.
Yeah, they have all these different people who rate movies, and they just use their interpretation of what an R rating or PG-13 rating is and go by that.
You know, actually, I thought it was a little weird because I actually read an article about the masking, like the face mask call, and I just sort of think, you know, why don't we just move to a system where it's all the calls replayed?
I think next year is going to change a lot. I have a feeling because the refs in the NFL are under so much scrutiny right now. I think they're going to revamp a lot of things, and next year is going to be a completely different game. Mike's shaking his head no, but I believe that.
Every replay we have slows the game to a grinding halt.
But not when you have the people in New York who can be replaying it, and you just the booth people would have the time to call before the next snap. You're not going to hurry up every snap to not let the people review a play in like New York unless you're worried about the controversy, which is kind of the way things go now for replayable, like ones you can actually throw the flag on and have replayed. I really think that you should be able to replay every call in the NFL in New York until the next snap, and New York can call it in and be like, hey, stop the play before they get to the next snap.
People would quit watching.
I disagree. I
can guarantee. I can promise you that. And by the way, they've already started heading that off at the pass because one of the head of officials came out either today or yesterday and put down all kinds of examples about how, for as much as we talk about the officiating has been horrible this year, that they've been right on a higher percentage than they were last year. So they're already doing damage control that they're not going to touch this replay thing.
Oh, so they were right more than they were last year. So that gives us.
So for as much as we're complaining about the calls being bad, they're saying, no, there's no problem here. Well, so that means they're not going to do anything about it.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, if you add more cameras, like, one, I don't know why we don't have the technology with the millions of dollars spent on football. Why aren't there more cameras? You should be able to see every single play from every single freaking angle. And
you can. You pretty much can now. The problem is things aren't replayable.
And the thing is, it's not like it takes a lot of time to know if somebody stepped out of bounds. I mean, you could just replay it to the audience, and the audience knows, like, in 5 seconds. yeah, obviously out of bounds. I don't know why every single time they have to go to the little camera, see the instant replay, and it takes 15 minutes. I mean, if the foot's outside the line, hey, that's out of bounds, you know? It's not like, maybe. Okay, where's the bribes coming? Okay, the bribe says this.
I think this is definitely an important topic, but an important topic for another show.
Whenever I answer the phone, I'm like, hello.
What pissed you off?
It's a great argument to have.
I love my mom, but I think she's half crazy for doing that.
How dare you?
Do you work with your girlfriend, Mark? Or your wife, Mark?
I keep them separated. Sometimes I call people, they don't answer the phone. I'm like,
Wrong number, click.
Well, he's not that smart, but sometimes he sounds like he knows what he's doing.
yeah.
Go.
Therefore, you're an ass, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, but what do we know?